Away we go. Oh my God, he's back. And we're back. Welcome back to another episode of From the Fourth Line. My name's Emma, and I'm joined as always by my very lovely and very happy co-host, Marcie.
Hello.
What a morning we've had. I was like, honestly, I was like looking through what we were going to talk about this episode, and it was all very, very short. What I had written down, and then we had kind of a blockbuster trade. I don't know if it categorizes as blockbuster for Leafs fans. Go down and around, like made official at like 9:30 last night. And then we got news this morning that Joseph Woll is starting tonight for the Toronto Maple Leafs versus the Arizona Coyotes. So I'm wearing my Joseph Woll jersey in celebration.
I'm wearing mine in spirit because it's on the wall and I have to rush off as soon as we finish recording.
Literally, like, that's the thing. It's like we are crunch time to try and get this done and out. But I guess we'll talk. I don't know if we wanted to start with Joseph Woll or if we want to start with Leafs and Golden Knights because it kind of all relates to each other. We found out that Timothy Liljegren is not playing in tonight's game, meaning the Leafs for the second game in a row will do 6 left-handed D. But don't fret. Riley and Brody are switching sides.
Oh, panic over. Everything's fine.
Yeah, so if the Leafs' desire for right-handed defensemen is not already apparent, I think it is very apparent in these 2 games in which Timothy Liljegren, essentially, we have learned, is keeping the entire Toronto Maple Leafs blue line together with the fact that he is right-handed and he shoots right. But yeah, Leafs versus Golden Knights. Samsonov got the start. I want to say it's not his best game since coming back. Probably, honestly, it was his worst game since coming back, which is saying something because it wasn't very much a bad game. He only allowed 5 goals. There was 6 goals scored, but one of them was on an empty net. And like the defense just wasn't there for the Leafs.
No, it non-existent.
Yeah, with Liljegren out, he's battling something day to day. Sheldon Keefe today said that it was like he's not where we want him to be and he's not where he wants to be, so he's not playing today. So thanks, Sheldon. But pairings were Riley Brody, Benoit McCabe, Giordano, and Lagesson because Mark Giordano returns to the lineup. Scoreless in the first. I think it was honest. It was a very even first period, I will say. Yeah. Shots were even tied 9-9. But I don't know. I just think
I was like, oh, it could go either way, you know? Like,
yeah. And then the second period started.
Oh God, that was.
Yeah, like the Golden Knights this season have been known for their strength defensively. They're a very strong team defensively, and even though they are just on average a very strong team overall, they are missing a lot of people from their forward group. You couldn't really tell this game, that's for sure. Especially because the only 2 Toronto goal scorers were Tyler Bertuzzi and Ryan Reeves.
Oh, that's how you know we're in a bit of a tough spot.
Ryan Reeves on a 2-on-1 with Pontus Holmberg, in which, because then they showed it, Ryan Reeves' top speed he hit on that 2-on-1, in which he scored a goal, was 33.25 kilometers an hour. What is this?
Just what's happened? What?
33 what? How is Ryan Reeves hitting 33 kilometers an hour?
If you genuinely at the start of the season, if you sat me down and told me that this was something that was going to happen,
you could have told me this a month ago, and I wouldn't have believed you.
I would have laughed in the face. I've been like, no, it doesn't.
Yeah, you definitely need to find a right-handed D for Morgan Rielly, someone competent
Please.
You know, hopefully, like, obviously the defense is better with Lilliger in there, and hopefully he comes back soon because the Leafs have a tough schedule ahead for the first week of March. They play New York on Saturday at home. Mind you, I'm trying to pull up my schedule. Hold on. I got to switch this over anyways today, but New York on Saturday, and then they've got Boston on Monday, Buffalo, Boston, back-to-back Wednesday, Thursday. Now that's a back-to-back with travel. Then Montreal on Saturday after the trade deadline. And then they get 4 days off before having to be in Philadelphia. So
you can tell how much I'm looking forward to this.
Also as well, I think we should also mention that Tuesday's game, I forgot what day of the week it was for a second. Tuesday's game was the Leafs Pride Night. The only like criticism I have is that like I don't think anyone really knew it was Pride Night until the Leafs changed their Twitter icon like 2 days before, a day before.
Yeah,
Monday. They changed it Monday.
I think I'd gone on to. I think I was just searching through their account for something Joseph Woll related, as one does.
No, because they dropped the Joseph Woll Blue Room and then they changed the Twitter profile picture.
But the Twitter profile picture had been changed before.
Really?
Because I was on the account before they dropped the Blue Room, and I was sat there and I was like, when did they change this? And then I was like, has it been changed for a while? When did this happen? And then I think I was going to mention it, and then I got distracted by something, as usual.
Yeah. But it was the Leafs Pride Night, and the Leafs, no, neither of us were at the game, so obviously we can't give you an experience of what it's like to attend a Pride Night because obviously, like, no more special jerseys. Leafs were never one to do special Pride jerseys. I don't think they've ever done it. They've done it for a couple of other things, but usually for Pride Night, they do helmet decals. We didn't have those, unfortunately. But there was numerous players who did have tape on their stick for warm-ups, and then Mark Giordano and Mitch Marner kept theirs on during the game as well. They had Pride tape on their sticks. If you did a little Getty Images research. But I will say, like, you know, it is nice to see that support from players, you know, and when you can't, like, you can be overly critical if you would like to, but which some people always are when it comes to these sorts of things with players. And like, yes, we do have to keep players accountable for special nights like this, but also at the same time, you have to understand that like they're not perfect human beings. And also at the same time, you have to understand that, like, I'm not trying to make excuses for players, but
yeah,
also as well, like, Pride tape during warm-ups is a huge step that we've seen that we probably wouldn't have seen even like 5 years ago from players in the NHL.
Yeah.
Right? So little victory, like, yes, there's huge steps that have to be taken, but also you have to look at how far we have come in the past 10, 15 years when it comes to Pride representation, gay representation in the NHL.
Oh,
as a league.
It's like, yes, it's like, obviously you want to see the entire team using Pride tape, and it's like, I know there were some players who didn't, and then
Austin Matthews, I think, was one of the big notable names that people kept bringing up.
And it's like, yes, is it a shame to not see him using Pride tape? Yeah, it is, but at the same time, it's like, you know that he's not a raging homophobe because he very much he's done so much outside of using Pride tape. But it's like, would it have been nice? Yeah. Is it the end of the world? No. And it's like, you can be like personally disappointed about it, which, you know, I was a little bit upset. I was not upset, but I was just like, oh, like,
yeah, you're a little bit disappointed.
but it's like you also have to look at the bigger picture, and it's like, yeah, they a lot of players do stuff outside of just the Pride Night.
Yeah, like
It's not the be all end all of like, if you don't use Pride tape, you hate gay people.
yeah, which I think a lot of people were taking it that way, where it's like you also have to understand that these are guys in which they've probably grown up in space. Like you and me, we have a lot of friends, well, ourselves included, but like you know, like even growing up, like my friend group in high school was predominantly queer individuals. And so we grow up like surrounded through that. And so it's very, very easy to show support that way. Whereas like for them, you know, you grow up in a hockey locker room, it's very, very different.
The nicest environment.
No, it's not. But also at the same time, like you're not someone your friend group probably, like, you know what I mean? Like they're probably guys who, like, I don't want to say, like, also you have to think about like a lot of these guys are slightly older than us, and even like the culture in like schools and stuff is that change is very, very recent. That's also still sometimes in some places change that has not occurred yet.
Yeah.
Whereas like it was very, like, I went to a really great like when I was in high school, it was really, really great in terms of there wasn't that very, I don't want to say like homophobia was non-existent, because this is like a high school in a predominantly white neighborhood in Canada. Like, let's be realistic here, but it wasn't like openly homophobic, and you had a lot of support from like staff, school administrators and things like that.
Yeah.
But like these are guys who probably, like, even when they were in high school, like maybe there was like the gay kid at school, but they maybe weren't friends with them. And so like you have to understand that it's a very different thing, and you can expect it, yes, and you can be disappointed when you don't get it from them, but you also understand, like, I'm not trying to make excuses, but I sound like I am, but it's such a nuanced conversation to have that I feel like we can't like chalk it down to like 5 minutes in like a 20-minute segment about one Leafs game.
I think
of an 82 game season.
Yeah, it's just like you have to realize that they unlike us. I don't know if for us, it's like they didn't grow up with a predominantly gay friend group surrounded by even more gay people.
Yeah.
So it's like it's not that they're not supportive, it's just that they
aren't exposed to it, and so the exposure is different.
The same way that we are, and it's like,
like,
obviously you're gonna want to see, like, if you have like a gay friend group, you're gonna just see it more, and it's gonna be like, and then so if someone says or does something that, you know, is slightly misguided or like badly worded, if you've got a friend group of gay people and you witness that, then it's gonna seem like a bigger, like more outright like thing, whereas a lot of people just aren't educated. Does that make sense?
The like also as well, like the like allyship when it comes to that, like, comes very naturally for us.
Yeah.
I mean, we are a part of the LGBT community ourselves, so it's like
we're such good allies that we are not there.
Literally, but like the allyship, like, you know, before you figure things out as well, like the allyship comes so much easier because it's like, oh, these are my friends, right? Or like these are my family members. And like for me as well, like it's like I have family members who are part of the LGBTQ community as well, like close immediate family members. So like I don't want to say like it's hard, but it's hard for us to understand, and it's hard for, I think, a lot of people on Twitter to understand, specifically just within like the bubble on hockey Twitter that we exist in, because it's just predominantly it's a very progressive group of people that we regularly interact with online, which is really, really great. But also as well, like, you have to understand, like, it's very different than how they maybe grew up and they experienced. And so allyship, it's different for them. And you know what, hopefully, and that's why, like, it's really, really important for teams like the Leafs to continue to provide education to their players. I know they had, oh my God, I don't remember his first name, and now I'm looking it up because I want to make sure I get his name right. McGillis is the last name. I want to say his first name is Scott, but it's definitely not Scott. I don't think it's Scott. I just want to make sure I get this right. Hold on, I gotta scroll through this. Brock McGillis.
Yeah.
Brock McGillis, who is he was a former OHL goaltender. I think I want to get this right, but I didn't do enough research beforehand. I think first openly gay OHL player, but he was an OHL goaltender. And he now goes around to, I think he's currently on like a classroom tour where he goes around to different schools across Canada and maybe the US as well, but I think mostly across Canada, and talks to them about, LGBTQ and being gay and in hockey and things like that. And so they had him come in and talk to the players, and Leafs post about that. And I think that's probably, like, I know it's not very visible as a fan. Like, if the Leafs didn't post that video, we would never know that they did that, right? And I think that is partly more important than the tape a player puts on. Yes, like the visible, like, it's really nice to see the visibility of, like, that visible allyship, but, like, providing education to your players from an organization like the Toronto Maple Leafs is huge.
Yeah, and it's like the fact that they're doing it, like, anywhere, and they're doing it, like, behind the scenes sort of thing.
Yeah.
Is arguably, I don't want to say it's overall, it has a bigger impact on the team than the decision to wear pride tape.
Oh, absolutely. Like, I don't want to provide excuses by saying, oh, players are so superstitious and, like, they're all so equipment. Like, you know what I mean? Like, athletes are weird like that when it comes to their equipment and things like that. But, like, providing the education for your players is going to have a greater impact in the overall change of hockey culture that is slowly happening right now. Then I think, not to say that pride tape isn't impacting the sport, it is in a brilliant way, and it's something where it's like, I wish I actually owned a hockey stick myself that was the right direction so that I could put pride tape on my hockey stick. I keep, like, looking, I'm like, maybe I'll just buy a roll and just, like, put it on everything. Like, I'll just, like, have it, like, everywhere. But it's like that sort of thing where it's like the education's so important, and I think it's hats off to the Leafs as an organization to continue to provide education, not just for pride, but, like, every special night that they do, you always see them providing education to their players, and I think that's just huge and really showcases them as an organization that, like, cares.
Yeah. Like, I think as well, the fact that they actually bring in, like, queer athletes for it, instead of they just stand there and just go, yeah, guys, gay people exist. Gay people are humans too.
Like, instead of it having it be like some media relations, which, no offense to the Leafs media relations team, I think they do a brilliant job, but like, it's someone who has been in their position in terms of been a hockey player, but then also has been in other positions. What are you gasping about?
Media just
media hold on. But has also been in their but has not been in their position of been, like, can provide a different perspective. No, Joseph Woll.
No.
It's Domi and Austin Matthews and Keith.
I
know that's what you were looking for. But, like, in terms of can provide an athlete, can bring in someone who's been in their positions in terms of been a hockey player, like, is a hockey player and understands what it's like to be in a hockey, like, in a locker room, but then also provide a different perspective that maybe these players have not experienced because they're not gay.
Yeah. It's like, you can argue that it's disappointing to not see them use Pride tape, but the amount of things that not only the players but the Leafs as an organization do is huge.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's disappointing to see, well, to not see, but it's not. I'm not like devastated. It's not world ending.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like some people treat it as like world ending, specifically surrounding Austin Matthews. Like I get it, okay, he's like the biggest name on the Leafs, biggest like goal scorer in the NHL right now. Is his name is everywhere, his face is everywhere, but also like the support I think that he provides behind the scenes is huge. And like you don't, and I think that's this new age of, it's the impact of this new age of social media in terms of activism. And I don't want to open another discourse that we really don't have time for. Like this is like, we could do like you could do a whole panel on this sort of thing and like spend like 2 hours discussing it and everything and the nuances, because it's a very nuanced conversation. But I do want to say, like, everyone expects, like, especially from public figure, like your support and your allyship for a cause to be very, very visible, which sometimes isn't everyone's like cup of tea. I know for myself, like, I'm not a huge person in like when I support a cause, like posting it everywhere, because I'm like, I don't know.
I'm just doing it.
I'm doing it because I care and I'm a good person, but I don't almost want to like be like, oh yay, congratulations, you're a good person, like good for you. I'm like, I don't want that.
Look at me, I did something good.
Yeah, like that's what I'm like. I don't want to be that person of like, oh, look at me, guys, like I did a good thing, like praise me for this thing. And like that's where you get into the whole discourse surrounded like performative activism and things like that. And I'm like, we don't have time.
Nope.
It's a very nuanced conversation.
Can of worms for another day.
Can of worms. We have a lot to get, well, more to get through than I would have thought for this show. But continuing on with the Leafs tonight take on Arizona Coyotes for the second time this season, and also like the second time in like 2 weeks. Who are coming, or not coming off of, but are on a 13-game losing streak after losing to Montreal on Monday. They could extend it against the Leafs, could surpass the San Jose Sharks. There will be no Timothy Liljegren in the lineup again. Him and Connor Timmins, who I believe at some point will just garner the nickname Mono, considering every single tweet about Connor Timmins mentions the fact that he has mono. We're on the ice pre-Leafs morning skate, but neither of them participated in the actual morning skate practice. Leafs haven't also, just a fun little stat about the fact that this could go very, very badly. The Leafs haven't won at home versus the Arizona Coyotes since October 17th, 2002. We weren't even alive.
Oh no. I mean, can they not do this today? Can they please?
But like, in good news, Joseph Woll is the projected starter. He makes his first start since getting hurt December 7th. I was at that game.
Professional.
That also is, it is also, if you want to put that in number of days, first start in 85 days. Worst 85 days of my life.
You fucking tell me about it.
Also, as well, if you guys want a couple of good reads and you have a subscription to The Athletic, there was a lovely Fraser Minton article that followed him on the road with the Saskatoon Blades for 3 days, in which we learned some lovely tidbits about the Leafs and their rookie dinner. I'm sorry, I'm still laughing about this. I was like, oh my god. So apparently at the Leafs rookie dinner that they had in Nashville, which was, I think, the infamous photo of Minton and Nyes in this wonderful cowboy getup standing next to John Tavares, that Fraser Minton posted on Instagram. And then we found out, oh, that was from the rookie dinner and they did it because they wanted to dress up, whatever, blah, 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 blah. Also at this rookie dinner that they did. Hold on, I want to like pull it up. I gotta pull it up first. No, that's not what I want. A skit was arranged with Fraser Mitten, Matthew Nyes, Joseph Woll, and Pontus Holmberg, in which Pontus Holmberg acted as a media member with a microphone in hand, while the other three rookies split up the roster and performed impersonations / roasts, Mitten says, of every single Leaf. Mitten remembers Nyes' perfect impersonation of Tavares' monotone mannerisms and post-game interviews.
Oh, it's just the fact that
Oh.
I just know it was like genuinely spot on.
Oh, absolutely. I'm sure like once you live with the guy for long enough, it's one of those things where you can pull it out.
Like,
Also,
the voice in your head starts sounding like him.
Matthew, you have to go to bed on time if you want to be a high performance athlete like myself. Remember to eat your greens, Matthew. Matthew, kale is important. Matthew, organic is the way to go when it comes to the food that we put into our bodies if we want to contain our high performance on the ice. Matthew.
He has nightmares with just the John Tavares voice.
Matthew, are you sure you want to have that extra scoop of ice cream?
Yeah. Oh god.
Oh my god. Anyways, it was a really brilliant article. It very much summed down Fraser Mitten's like whole mindset right now is I want to be like them while pointing at the Toronto Maple Leafs and modeling his entire life around hockey around being like an NHL player. It's the most brilliant thing. I really do hope that he gets to have a shot with the Leafs next season and that we don't lose him at the deadline.
What, Emma?
Look, okay, don't blame me. Blame the Chris Tanev trade.
Yeah, but like, why would you say that to me right now?
I also would like further details, video if available, of that, of those performances. I would like to know which players Joseph Woll was given.
Yeah.
That's what I want to know. Who Joseph Woll, who has been who was with the team in the bubble too. Like that's the thing where I'm like, yes, it was the rookie dinner, and yes, like Joseph Woll was involved. Joseph Woll has been with like up and down with the Leafs like since like 2020. Like he was one of their backup bubble goalies. Sorry, I'm like obsessed with this whole thing. I want to know more. I also know that noted bottom line Blorvo and theater minor in college, Bobby McMahon, was very upset he missed out on such a thing. I feel like he would have brought the acting chops.
Oh, Can we get him on the podcast and just
But yeah, there was also as well by Joshua Cloak. Both of these articles that I'm mentioning from The Athletic were by Joshua Cloak, who does a fantastic job with providing these sorts of articles on the Toronto Maple Leafs. There was a wonderful one about Ilya Samsonov that also came out today, a little bit under the radar because this Minton article had so many gems, but it was mostly just about his mindset in returning from being put on waivers and having a really bad start to a season. It was really great. Provided some insight into where his mindset was at the first season. Also made me cry. It was very, very, very sweet. Recommend go listening to them. Not listening, reading them if you can, and if you have a subscription to The Athletic. Yeah. I'm sorry. I'm just so excited about Joseph Woll coming back, man. It's a big day. It's a big day for us as the co-presidents of Woll Nation.
It doesn't feel real.
No, it very much doesn't. It's like one of those things where it's like, oh, it's like actually happening now.
It's like we've been like just asking for it to happen for so long, and then now it actually is, and we're like, oh my god.
Oh my god, yeah. Yeah, just Woll, he's back. He's back. Very exciting to have him back. Definitely feel sorry for my dad who's driving me home today, who's going to have to sit in a car with me from Ottawa to Toronto with me talking about the fact that Joseph Woll is back. He has been asking, actually, you know what? It's his own doing because he spent all Christmas break this year asking me about what the Leafs are going to do with their goaltending. Well, Dad, I have an answer for you. It's called
Yes.
Keep 3 Goalies Up. Because Sheldon Keefe said in media availability today that he is willing, that, you know what? He is willing to, the plan is right now to carry all 3 Leafs goalies, which I love that. The more the merrier. What I do want to know, though, and I want to figure out, and this is only because I have mapped out the Leafs seating plan in the locker room, is if Joseph Woll moves back to the, like, one of the main goalie cubbies. There's 3 goalie cubbies in the Leafs locker room, in their home locker room. After Joseph Woll got hurt before the dad's trip, Martin Jones moved into his main one beside Ilya Samsonov, because there's 2 beside each other and then one on the side. And then Joseph Woll has been in the 3rd goalie stall since being hurt and like when he's coming back to practices and things like that. So I want to know if they're going to switch him back or not, or what's going to be the plan, or if he's going to stay there sitting next to Max Domi, I believe, sits in there.
Yeah.
I don't have it memorized, but I think it's like Max sits next to Max Domi, which would love to know what those conversations are like.
Oh.
There's like certain stretches in this locker room where I'm like, would love to know what this part
What do they talk about?
What do they talk about? But yeah. Anyways, I think let's talk about JB Drysdale. We mentioned last episode that he is day to day, is what we said.
Yeah.
I think it was announced today that Philadelphia has moved JB Drysdale to IR due to an upper body injury. They didn't specify that it was his shoulder. They just said upper body, but we can assume based on the video that we saw of him going down the tunnel. Unfortunate for this guy. I think this guy, like, some of the worst injury luck in the league.
Oh, he's been through it.
Absolutely. So hopefully wish him all the best. Hopefully he's back for the Flyers playoff run. I actually have no idea if they're still at a playoff spot. I think they are. Right? Maybe they're not, and I'm like totally wrong. No, what? Oh yeah, they are. Yeah, they are still. They're 3rd in the Metro, so hopefully he's back. You know, we don't know. There's no timeline yet given. Travis Konechny also day to day has not played for the Flyers in 3 games or 3 days or something like that. So injuries hitting the Flyers hard, which is unfortunate for them.
They're going through it right now.
Oh, absolutely. Trade?
We'll talk trade.
We'll talk trade, just mostly because I think this one is going to be the longest one for us to talk about. And then we have some Jets chat with the Gary Bettman press conference and then a very special anniversary. So it was announced yesterday that the Calgary Flames have traded pending UFA right-handed defenseman Chris Tanev to the Dallas Stars in a 3-way trade with the New Jersey Devils. It's 3-way trade because of the salary retention, which is very interesting. I just want to pull up because like the salary retention is interesting because of the fact that the New Jersey Devils are retaining salary and they're supposed to be a team that wants to contend for the playoffs this year. And I don't know why, if you are a team that wants to contend to the playoffs, you're retaining over $1 million in salary. But so the trade is, so the Calgary Flames acquire Dallas Stars prospect Artem Grushnikov, a 2024 second round pick from Dallas, a conditional 2026 third round pick from Dallas, where the conditions are the pick is only transferred if Dallas advances to the Stanley Cup final in the 2024 playoffs. The Dallas Stars acquired from the New Jersey Devils Christopher Tanev with 50% salary retained, which is $1.25 million, and Cole Brady, who is an unsigned goaltending prospect from New Jersey. Now, the New Jersey Devils acquire 50% of Christopher Tanev's salary, and then from Dallas they receive, for retaining the salary, a 2026 fourth round pick. Now, the reason why it says that the Stars acquire it from New Jersey is because you can't trade salary retention for future considerations anymore. So Chris Tanev had to go through New Jersey in order to end up getting traded to Dallas in order for New Jersey to retain some salary. That's the only reason why it's that. But essentially, Christopher Tanev going to Dallas. Hope he likes country music, because if he thought he was going to get away from it, from being traded away from Calgary, he's got more of it coming in Dallas. You have not yeed your last haw, Chris Tanev.
You've been waiting to say that.
Oh, I tweeted it out and it didn't do that well. And I was like, this is hilarious.
Did I retweet it?
I thought it was.
I retweet it now.
I don't think you did. But I also tweeted it after you had gone to bed. Because I tweeted it on the official. I tweeted it on the official announcement from the Dallas Stars, which came after I was asleep. Yeah, it went when you were asleep. But I do. There's a couple of things. Yeah, so it was like. It was. Yeah, so the Stars. So, okay. The Stars get Christopher Tanev for 25% of his salary because Calgary Flames retain 50%, and then the New Jersey Devils retain 50% of 50%, which adds up to 75% retained overall between the two teams, which is ridiculous. And I'm wondering, because the thing that I wanted to talk about is, like, Chris Tanev has been linked with the Leafs since basically November, since it became apparent we needed another right-handed D. And we were all like, this is going to happen. This is what it's going to be. We're going to have to give up a first. Are we going to be willing to give up a first for Christopher Tanev? Blah, 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 blah. And then it all happens without Dallas Stars giving up a first round pick. And you may well, but yes, they gave up a prospect. And yes, Brad Shilving was very, very adamant in saying that he was unwilling to give up a prospect. Now, Artem Grushnikov is a 20-year-old prospect, Russian. He's from Russia. Is currently played with the is a left-handed defenseman with the playing with the Texas Stars. This season, he was with the AHL affiliate of Dallas. In 44 games, has 1 goal, 4 assists. I don't know about you, but like my thoughts on this, I'm like, okay, so the Leafs have defensive prospects, left-handed defensive prospects up the wazoo. We have so many of them. We almost have too many of them. We're overloaded on defensemen in terms of prospects. And you're telling me Brad Treliving was unwilling to give away. What did Dallas trade away? They gave away a prospect, a second round pick, which we don't have a second round pick. But the Leafs don't have a second round pick, or at a third, a conditional third, and a fourth for Christian. Like, that's the thing where I'm like, surely you could have made this work. But then there was a tweet that was really interesting for me from Kevin Weeks, noted insider Kevin Weeks, regarding the Tanev trade and Zadorov trades, saying the Maple Leafs were interested in both players. As I reported, they tried trading for both at the same time and individually. It seems that the Calgary Flames would have had to be blown away to send either to Toronto. So the Calgary Flames are the salty X, and we're like, no, we are unwilling to trade with you, Brad. Which is very interesting because it's like everyone was talking about the fact that getting a player from the Flames would be easier for the Leafs because of Brad. And now you're telling me that no, actually, it's near impossible to trade with the Flames because of Brad. And I know Brad is not a like trade at the deadline type guy, but we really do need a right-handed defenseman for Morgan Rielly.
Quite bad.
If we want to make a run in the play, like it's not a thing where it's like, I think a lot of people, I think earlier in the season were like, okay, we got to do this at the deadline, we got to do this at the deadline, we got to do this. But really, like the only thing the Leafs need at the deadline, I think, to make a serious, I don't want to say like serious push for the Cups, but like to make a long run in the playoffs, bar any blood curses against this franchise, is a right-handed defenseman to play across from Morgan Rielly to provide, to be on that top line, that top pair. And you're not, and the numbers you have, like the names are, the list is getting shorter and shorter as we get closer to the deadline. And
yeah, we're running out of options, and
there's still more names available, but like, I don't know. I'm just looking at this and I'm like, okay, are we actually going to get this right-handed defense? Because it's like, the list of things that Brad Treliving is willing to give up is, I don't want to say it's very long, but it consists of no first round picks and no top seeded prospects, such as like guys like who are already on the Leafs roster right now, like Robertson and Nyes and Holmberg. And also as well, top prospects who are not with the Leafs right now, like Minton, Cohen, Easton Cowan. There's a couple of guys on the Marlies as well, like where Dennis Hildeby, where you're like, okay, no, untouchables, like don't go near them. And like you can kind of condense that list down to what, 5 guys of, okay, here's 3 guys on 6 guys, I guess. Here's 3 guys on the Leafs roster right now where they're young guys where you're like, okay, then there's these guys who are, and then there's these 3 guys who are not on the Leafs roster but are within the Leafs organization, whether it be with the Marlies or whether it be with their junior teams, where you're like, okay, don't touch them. And I think a lot of people are like, okay, but why don't we trade guys like Minton and Cowan when their stock is really, really high right now because they're having these really great seasons in junior? Because have you looked at what the Leafs cap situation is next year? Like, has anybody who is suggesting, hey, let's trade Fraser Minton right now for a rental, has anyone of these like looked at what the Leafs are looking at next year for cap? Because it's not good. Like, yes, okay, the cap is going up next season, but so are the contracts of Austin Matthews and William Nylander, where you're paying Austin Matthews $13.25. You're paying William Nylander $11.5. You're still paying John Tavares $11 million for one more year. You're paying Marner $10.9. And you're losing, like, Nicholas Robertson's an RFA. Noah Gregor's an RFA. Bobby McMahon's a UFA. I think Bobby McMahon will probably sign close to in around league minimum. But like, Timothy Liljegren, RFA. Simon Benoit is a guy who I think you should sign him before the offseason starts.
Yes.
Because that's a guy, like, yes, he's an RFA. So yes, you can retain the rights to him. Like, it's not like he's going to leave you in free agency without you deciding that. But I think now's the time to do it before the price for him gets too high. Yeah. Because that's a guy that's a guy obviously who you're like, oh, you actually work for us. Like, you work here. And like, especially because we have Jake McCabe for one more season. Like, I think the fact that we could get like a very solid starting goaltender out of Joseph Woll for one more season at less than $800,000 against the cap is huge.
Absolutely insane.
is huge for this team, especially next year with how their cap situation is. And so like all of these entry level contracts that you have, like Cowan, like Minton, you need those guys next year because those are the guys who are going to fill in the slots that you can't afford otherwise.
Yeah. And as well, have you also considered it's like you don't want to trade Fraser Minton because it'll make me sad?
That's exactly.
I'll be very sad.
That's exactly what it is. And so, like, I don't know if we're gonna like the other thing that you have to think about is like, is Ilya Samsonov is a free agent next year. Is he going to stay? Who knows? It'd be nice for him to stay, but also at the same time, you have to be prepared for the fact that like he may not stay, and you may have to use Dennis Hildeby as your backup. Like Dennis Hildeby might have to be ready for NHL hockey, which I don't know. I don't want to say that he isn't, but like also at the same time, you don't know. Goalie development is so weird.
Yeah.
It's so up and down, and you're like, we haven't seen him in an NHL game yet.
About here, it's goalie development.
There's something we love on this show more than your fourth line players and bottom pair defensemen is goalie development.
Exactly.
What are you dropping at?
No, I panicked because I can't read, and I thought what else? And I thought the tweet said that the NHL had fired the Sabres head coach as fine
for money. You know what? I'm so surprised. We haven't heard anything about Sheldon Keefe getting fined yet.
Oh no, because
we didn't even forget. We didn't even talk about the fact that he got kicked out of Tuesday's game. He got ejected. Like this is something where I'm like, never mind. Like this is further confirms the fact that I believe that Sheldon Keefe and former Toronto Blue Jays general manager John Gibbons are very similar individuals, which means nothing to Marcie. But if you're a Jays fan, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But I was like, he's getting thrown out. They're throwing him out. He didn't do anything.
He breathed.
Like, he breathed and he's like, you're gone.
It's almost like they looked at him and went, you're not red enough for us at the moment. And like they're like, you've not turned the right shade of purple yet.
I also want to know, like, what did Don Granato do on Tuesday? What was his unprofessional? What did he do? I wasn't watching that game.
Yeah, I didn't watch the game, so I'm just kind of like, what went down? I feel like if anything actually happened, I'd have seen it on Twitter.
I know, that's the thing where I'm like, if it was kind of a big thing, like, I guess you would see it more than I would.
Yeah. But, interesting.
Bench minor. It literally doesn't say. Oh, here we go.
Oh.
Is it from when like they all got in that scrum because like Nick Cousins like pretended to be dead and was like, actually I'm not. Oh, it's just him yelling.
Oh.
It's him yelling over something that didn't get called about a trip. I think he said something. Oh, did he flip the bird?
What? No.
Did he flip the bird?
You'd be kind of real for that though. I respect it.
I think he flipped the bird. I think he flipped.
Oh,
I can't tell. I'm trying to like look and see if he like actually like flipped off officials. That'd be. No, he was pointing to. He was going to. It looked though from one angle of him going like this. I think it's just him yelling, and he got fined for it. But
if I got fined for every time I yelled at the Leafs, I would have like less money than I already do.
You would be bankrupt.
I would be officially.
But yeah, Sheldon Keefe got thrown out. There was he did answer a question about it. Smart of him to not answer a question about it post game. He did answer a question though today in media availability, saying, this is from Jonas Siegel, I think there's a fine line between being a voice for the players at different times and try to be the voice so that they don't have to be. They can focus on playing. But really, all I'll say is my job as a coach is to really make sure I'm focused on the next moment and what comes next. I don't feel like I lost control of anything like that the other night, but I'm not focused on the right thing. My job is to be focused on the right thing. The player's job is to be focused on the right thing. I'll be better in that area. It's a chance for me to reflect and grow on it. Again, I don't know what he did. Because it wasn't he like was blowing up at the refs, and then it was the next play, and then that's what got him thrown out. And the next, like I was like, okay,
there it is. Keith's just been fined.
Keith's been fined.
25.
That's it, Sheldon.
Could they like donate the $25,000 fine to like flying me out to you?
Do I tweet out time to start a GoFundMe?
Yes, please. Yeah, well, welcome to the behind the scenes of what happens when we decide.
This is what happens when we record things during the day. But yeah, Sheldon Keefe has been fined for that. Honestly, not a surprise if Doug Renato got fined for it, but I do want to say the fact that like Nick Cousins rising from the dead like the fucking Undertaker.
No, because it's like
he's like, I'm dying, I'm on the floor, I'm dying. Oh, no one's paying attention to me. Everyone's going, okay, let's go.
No, like he had the same reaction.
If that doesn't confirm.
He had the same reaction as like what happens when my alarm goes off on a morning and it's like really loud and right by my ear. I'm just like, oh, I'm here.
There's nothing. I don't think there's anything that further confirms that this guy is an absolute diver than that clip right there. If you go, oh, Nick Cousins doesn't dive, and Nick Cousins isn't like a rat, and like, anyways, show them this clip and go, okay, so what's this though?
Yeah, like, come on.
But yeah, so Gary Bettman had a press conference in Winnipeg.
He did.
What a transition. I just know we're running out of time. So
yeah, like, I keep looking at
held a press conference.
Yeah.
Gary Bettman had a press conference in Winnipeg. It was about the concern that the Winnipeg Jets could lose their the city of Winnipeg could lose their NHL franchise due to low attendance. Gary Bettman was like, I'm going to go out to Winnipeg and I'm going to hold a press conference, which bold on you, Gary, for going out to Winnipeg in February. Not something I would have done. I would have done it from like New York and done it over Zoom. Spoke on the fact that Winnipeg is a strong NHL market. He also said that the team is not going anywhere. So don't have to worry about Winnipeg losing their team again. The concern for Winnipeg this season was the fact that season ticket numbers have gone from 13,000 to where they were when the team rejoined the league in 2012 to 9,500 this season. They also averaged the second lowest attendance across the NHL at an average of 13,000 games. An average of 13,000 people per game. But which is interesting because it's actually, I think it's surprising as well. Like the team is performing very well this season. In terms of that, like in playoff contention is pretty good. We'll probably make the playoffs. We'll maybe perhaps have a run in the playoffs depending on who they face. So it's not that it's like worry about Winnipeg not about like the low attendance because Winnipeg sucks. They don't suck. I don't think they really have had a season since they've come back where they've been like god awful. If I'm trying to like remember correctly, I'm like, I don't. In recent memory, they haven't been god awful, bottom of the barrel bad since like they got Patrick Laine in 2016.
Yeah.
Right. Which also the Leafs were god awful, bottom of the barrel bad that season too. So. But I will say, I think part of it is rising costs of living, especially in Canada. It's so expensive to buy groceries. I go to the grocery store, I'm gonna get 2 things. I end up spending $30. I think that's part of it. I will say there was one quote that from Gary Bettman in that press conference where I was like, what the are you saying, dog? Where he said, get over your anxiety and come to games.
Gary.
Thanks, Gary Bettman. You've cured my anxiety. With one sentence.
I'm all better now.
I'm all better now. Thanks, Gary. Anxiety cured. I'm no longer anxious. I will go to games. I go to games anyways, but I think is what I don't know what it is. I think that's part of what it is. I don't want to say oh, it's the small population in Winnipeg, because Ottawa has a similar population size, and a lot of fans go to that game, and their arena is all the way out in Canada, across the highway from an outlet mall. So yeah. I will see how it's interesting how Winnipeg's going to try and get more people to go to games. Who knows?
Yeah.
And one last thing before we end the podcast here. Yesterday was a very special anniversary that's very near and dear to my heart. It was the 14-year anniversary of Sidney Crosby's golden goal, in which, in the 2010 Vancouver Winter Olympics, in the gold medal men's hockey match between Canada and the US, in overtime, Sidney Crosby, with an assist from Jerome McGinley, scored a beautiful goal on Ryan Miller to win Canada the gold medal in men's hockey on home ice. And that day, I was 6 years old at the time, and that was the thing that cemented me as a hockey fan. I was always going to probably become a fan of hockey, but that was the moment where I was like, yeah, hockey. Yeah. Sport for me. This is the sport I'm going to watch. And eventually, 14 years later, we'll host a podcast about it.
So thank you, Sidney Crosby, for starting this podcast.
Yeah, that's where it is. Sidney Crosby started. It also is the reason why I have a soft spot in my heart for the Pittsburgh Penguins. That and my love for little fun, silly French Canadian goalies and Phil Kessel.
Yeah. That sums it all up.
I think I don't remember a lot from those Olympics, considering I was 6. But I have 2 main images in my head three main images in my head where I'm like, yes, 2010 Winter Olympics. These are the things I remember watching on TV. Sidney Crosby's golden goal. Tessa Virtue and Scott Moyer's gold medal free dance performance. And Canadian gold medal Olympian and host of The Amazing Race Canada, John Montgomery, walking through Whistler Village after winning gold in the skeleton, chugging a pitcher of beer that was handed to him on live national television.
An icon.
That's it.
An icon. And you know what? They're the only 3 memories you need.
Exactly. Hey, hockey, ice skating, beer.
Yep.
All you need in life.
Oh dear.
Oh god. Yeah. I think that is all we will talk about today. A little bit of a shorter one for us, but you do what you got to do. Busy schedule. We will be back though on Monday after the Leafs take on Arizona and the New York Rangers, which is great for my fantasy team because that's where both of my goalies are from. So yeah, hopefully Jonathan Quick gets to start against Toronto because I want the Leafs to win, but also I want Igor Shesterkin to do well for me in fantasy. I'm on a roll in fantasy this week. Not this week, the past 3 weeks. I don't think I've lost at all in the month of February.
Okay.
I haven't.
Whatever. I
I'm
have.
doing. I have not lost in the month of February yet. It's actually
Oh, no,
pretty great.
I think I won first week in February. I lost the week after. I won last week. And now it's
I
just
won. I won 3 straight.
Well, you know what?
It's kind of helpful when you have 40 goal scorer Zach Hyman.
Yeah, whatever. Well, you know what? Fuck you. I've got Ryan McLeod, Noah Gregor, and Simon Benoit, and Justin Hall, and Bobby McMahon.
How is 4 game in a row scratch Noah Gregor helping you out on fantasy?
So well. I'm getting all
because
the
he's getting
points.
scratched tonight again too as well.
I know. I'm gonna. You see, I go to drop him and then I look at his little face and I just can't bring myself to do it.
With that being said,
well, you know what? Sheldon Keefe, everyone else, Sheldon Keefe, oh, how are you going to carry 3 goals? I'm carrying 4.
Get on my level, Sheldon.
Where are the people asking how I'm coping?
Well, the Leafs could end up carrying 4 come the playoffs if Matt Murray returns from LTIR. Because he's facing pucks this week. With that being said, thank you so much for listening. That was all from us today. We'll be back on Monday again with another podcast. Hopefully talking about 2 Leafs wins. You never know. This is the Leafs. But would love Joseph Woll to have a good game back and a good return. Hopefully if they win, then belts for you, Joseph.
If they win and
Ryan Reeves, you have no. Who has it? No, it's Bertuzzi. Bertuzzi has it. Bertuzzi, you have one job.
Like, I do not care if we win by 7 goals and one person scores all 7. If Joseph Woll does not get the belt, I will be having
has enough hat tricks. Austin Matthews has enough hat tricks.
Yeah, it's like
they're not special anymore.
What do you mean? Like, fucking Nick Robertson scores 9 goals in one night. He's not getting the belt. Joseph Woll gets the belt. And I don't care.
I wouldn't say that we don't make the rules here, but we do make the rules here when it comes to Joseph Woll. We take our jobs very seriously to the point where we have a brand. And to everyone who, upon the news of Joseph Woll's return, was like, I wonder how Marcie and Emma are doing. We're doing very well, thank you. And thank you for thinking of us in this time, because
we had a 3-minute phone call in which we just kind of like yelled at each other
about Joseph Woll being back, and also the fact that you hung up on your mom to answer the call from me. Love you, Lindsay. I know I'm your favorite kid.
You are as well. She loves you.
Like, that's the thing. I'm everyone in your family's favorite, except for maybe your sister, but
no, you're probably her favorite as well.
Yes. Only a matter of time before I get a dog. You come home for the summer and I'm already like living in your room.
Yeah, I'm just like going to my room to dump my bags and you sat there just like,
hi, Marcie.
And I'm just sat there, I was like, you know what? Take it. I'll sleep outside. I've got a tent.
All right. Without that, yeah, thank you so much for listening. You can find the show anywhere you get your podcasts. I think eventually probably this weekend, I think, this is me telling Marcie to do this, is we'll get our backlog of podcasts up on YouTube.
Right.
I have to put them in the drive, so partly it's on me, but also part of it is on Marcie. You can follow the show on Twitter at From the Fourth Line. That's fourth with a 4th. You can follow both me and Marcie on Twitter at 60 Leafs for Marcie, at PearB1 for myself. Thank you so much for listening. Go Leafs, go. Hopefully Joseph Woll has a good first game back. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.